Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name's Ashley and I hope that your week is going great. I hope your January was great. It's the end of January already. That's so crazy to me. So I have a confession. I lied to you and I'm sorry. In my last video, I had said that this week's video is going to be a bullet journaling video, and I really wanted it to be a bullet journaling video, but I don't know. I've had some like winter blues lately and I was not feeling super motivated as much as I wanted to do it. I just like wasn't feeling motivated to actually do it. And then yesterday I was gonna film it and then I realized how unprepared I was because I've never bullet journaled before. So I spent the whole day watching bullet journaling videos. I finally got some inspiration. I was ready to start it and it was a disaster. So I had to order some new bullet journals, which should hopefully be here in a few days. So that will probably be my next video. So subscribe if you want to see that video. Staying on the topic of stationery and writing and organization and all of that kind of stuff, I thought that I would do a video of how I take my notes for law school. A disclaimer that I feel like I need to put in all of my law school videos. I go to USC. I am a student in the Master of Studies in Law program, which is not a JD. I'm not going to be an attorney after this. I'm just getting a general overview of what law students in the JD program learn. I'm also getting a business law certificate and a compliance law certificate. So I'm taking a lot of law classes, but I'm not going to be an attorney and it's not the same as law school, but I still fall under the umbrella of the Gould School of Law. And so I'm still a law student. So I'm not incorrect in saying that. Please don't come for me in the comments. It happened once before. I had mentioned doing this video in, I think, the video where I was dyeing my hair. For the amount of like people who watch my videos and like subscribers that I have, it was kind of requested. I got like 3 DMs on Instagram being like, oh my gosh, I would love to see that. That would be so cool. Like, I love your notes, because I post pictures of my notes before on Instagram. So yeah, I thought I would do that video. I need to get some homework done anyway. So I just came across my office to my desk area where I keep all of my school stuff for the most part, except for when it's with me at school. I don't even think I talked about the classes that I'm taking this year. The first class that I have is drafting contract, or no, that's the book. The first class that I have is contract drafting and analysis. Basically, we just learn the basics of a contract and how to draft an easy to read contract, which I think is super important because nobody reads contracts because they're so hard to read. My second class is fundamentals of intellectual property law, which is like so interesting. It's probably one of my favorite classes I'm taking right now. And my last one is human resource compliance law, HR. Kind of boring, but super necessary. So I am taking the compliance certificate, I guess it makes sense. The class that I have today is contract drafting and analysis, and the reading that I'm going to be doing is my contract drafting and analysis, so it works out. But this is actually my reading that's due next week. I try to stay a little bit ahead on my reading. So the first thing that I do is I pull out my syllabus. So we can see that my reading for next week is going to be chapter 10 and chapter 7, but it's only like certain parts of it, which gets confusing. So then these are the notes that I've taken so far, just to give you a little like introduction of what's going to be happening in case you don't want to see how I do my notes. So this is just from the first day of class. I try to use blue pen for class notes, but I forgot my blue pen. So, and then this was the first chapter that we read, and I pick a color for each week and I use that same color for every class for like the readings that week, just so I know like when I learned what, if that makes sense. In class, when we have like slides and my teacher is talking, then I'll write like notes of like information related to like where it was in the reading, so that I know that that's like additional information that wasn't in the book. And then this and these. And then I usually leave 1 or 2 pages at the end of each reading chapter for class notes, just because there's a lot of stuff on slides that like isn't in the reading sometimes. And then this is for, oh no, this was for last week, sorry. Okay, it's taking a while. And this is for this week, so I haven't gone to this class yet, so there are no blue notes. Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave 1 page front and back for my notes that I'm going to take in class today. and let's get started. So class, turn to chapter 10 in your textbooks. Oh, I thought I would stop on chapter 10. I did not. So I have to do 10.5, 10.7, and 10.10. Oh, renegade, renegade. Okay, anyway, I hate myself. So I have to pick a color. I think I'm gonna go with the green for this week. Green highlighter. And then there are black pens that I use for every reading. Okay, I think that's all I need right now. I forgot to say that I like to put a lot of effort into my notes because I hate taking notes and I hate reading notes and I hate reading, and so I figured if I make it colorful and put effort into it, I'll actually utilize them. So yeah, this might be like overkill, but it's just because I suck. So up top, I'm just gonna write the chapter. Then I write what the name of the chapter is in the middle. I'll write like this main heading first. So representations and risk shifting. I need to find words. I like to write them in like this pen, like the color, just so they stand out on the page in a different way. So now I've written like this whole part, and I'm gonna go down to, this is 10.5.1, so it's like a subsection of this section. Sometimes I'll make that a subsection, but because this is like a listed thing, like 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm gonna take these subsections and just make them all under one bullet point. If you can see, I'm using like a bullet point, and then for a sub point of that bullet point, I use a line, like a dash. And then for a sub point of the dash, I use an arrow. If it's a numbered thing, then I'll use a bullet point and then a 1 and then a line and then an arrow. And then if I need to keep going, then I'll use a dot and then a line and then an arrow, and yeah, it'll just like repeat. And if I mess up like I did right there, I kind of just write over it. My notes are for me, I can figure it out. I don't use like whiteout or anything like that. I don't really think it's necessary. It's kind of like overkill in my opinion for something that's not like super important. And then if there's like words that are like emphasized or italicized or that I just feel like are important to like understanding this, I underline them. So they want the word knowledge. That's like a wavy underline, kind of draws my attention. And then constructive knowledge was the italicized word, so I just underline it in green. And then if I just have some little like side note things, I had one up here as well that I didn't do it with, and just make it like a little post-it note type thing on the side, also to draw my attention to it. If I like did it, then it's kind of important to the point, mainly just so like important things stand out. I try to like shorten sentences and like abbreviate sentences and like shorten words as much as possible. Again, my notes are for me, so for the most part I understand it, and I'll use like the same thing consistently throughout my notes so that I don't forget it. But that just makes it a little bit easier, and so that I'm not writing like every single word that's in the book, because obviously it's a long book. And there's page 2. I just texted you.
You just texted?
Yeah. If something doesn't make sense when I'm writing it, I'll usually put like a little like sticky note, like what the heck does that mean, so that I know to like ask that question during class when we get to that point. It's around the time that my hand starts getting tired and I start getting just kind of over reading and writing. It got a little bit messy right here because basically there's like statements and then there's definitions inside of those statements, and then there's like statements inside of definitions, and yeah, so it's all crazy. So yeah, it's kind of confusing, but like I understand it. Again, they're my notes. It really just matters if I understand. Oh, I have to go to class. It's 4:31. I have to leave in like 5 minutes. I will finish this later because I didn't get to like the highlighting and the rest of the stuff that I normally do, and I have a couple more pages that I have to add to my notes. So I will see you after class. I'll finish it later. Sorry, it's gonna be kind of dark when I get back. I was trying to do it when there's good lighting, but I didn't. Sucks, sorry. Yeah, so I will see you then. Well, I'm back. It's like 9 p.m. now, 9:30 maybe. I'm not gonna talk your ear off, let's just jump right into it. So I finished chapter 10 and now I have to go to chapter 7. So it's the same week of reading, so I'm gonna keep it in the same color, but it is a new chapter, so I'm gonna start a whole new like page for it. Hi Noodle, come here. So with this, I'm just gonna do the same thing that I did with chapter 10, except it's going to say chapter 7. Then the title for this one is kind of longer than chapter 10, so I can't make it as like spread out and pretty as I did with chapter 10. In the last chapter, I had said that I like start these sections off like 7.5, not like any of the subsections. I start that off with this like colored thing just so I know that where a new section starts. But sometimes I do the subsections as separate like subsections in my notes, which I didn't do in my last one, but I will do in this one. I write it with a thicker pen marker thing, make it all uppercase, and then when I start my bullet points from here, I indent them a little bit just so that I know that this is all a subsection of this main header. We're gonna close that up because we don't need her anymore. Okay, so now that we've finished all of the sections that we need to read for both chapters, I just go through with this like thicker pen that I had written the subheadings in, and I go over all of the dots and the lines and the arrows just so they stand out, so I know where one point starts and another point ends. And then once I finish that, I go through with a highlighter. This is like a lot to look at and a lot of words, and if I wanted to highlight everything that was important, I would literally highlight the whole page because I wouldn't have written it from the book to my notebook if it wasn't important. But there are some things that are more important than others, or that I know I need to remember personally, or just like a couple words in a whole line that like sum up what that whole line is about. And so I just highlight it so that it like stands out on the page for me and it's like easier to find. This also helps because while I'm highlighting, I'm like reading back through everything that I just wrote, so I'm kind of getting a refresher because sometimes I just mindlessly like write things from the book into my notebook and I'm not totally like absorbing it, so this just kind of helps reiterate the things that I just saw. So these are all of the notes that I just took. There's a lot of them. Yeah. So I started taking these notes at like 3 o'clock today, and then I stopped around 4:30, so that was an hour and a half. And then I started the second half of this at around 9 or 9:30, and it's 10:30, so that's another hour, hour and a half. So as you can see, this is a commitment. It's not it's definitely not fast, but for me, I definitely think it's worth it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got some inspiration for your notes, or at the very least it was just excuse me, I have the hiccups. It was just fun to watch. I know I love watching people like write things and take notes, and I've been told that my notes are very aesthetically pleasing. So one piece of advice that I will give with note taking is that it sucks, reading sucks, homework sucks. So I try to make it fun and colorful and as enjoyable as it possibly can be given what it is. So hopefully you feel inspired to get off YouTube and do your homework if you have homework to do. Subscribe to see more law school videos. Maybe I'll do like a mid-semester update type thing instead of like a 1 week update. And yeah, I will see you all next week in that video. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all then. Bye.